For a long time, SEO used to be very simple. Rank on Google, get traffic, get sales. But here's the plot twist. By 2028, a study from Gartner is claiming that 50% of that traffic would be gone. Why is that happening? Well, first thing, because Google with AI Overview is giving the answer. So there's no need for people to go to your website because they already have the answer. And moreover, there's competition from ChatGPT, Perplexity, that are doing exactly the same as Google, meaning losing traffic. And in those answers, your brand needs to be present. And that's where GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, comes from. And for agencies, there's a big opportunity, and I see it with my tool Qwairy that is used by hundreds of agencies. The first opportunity is to offer a GEO audit, a generative engine audit for your client. What a generative engine audit is doing is, first thing, answering which question are people asking to LLMs. Is your client brand quoted or replaced by a competitor? This is exactly the kind of answer that a generative engine audit will answer. And this is exactly what I will teach you to do today with 5 different steps. Let's start the video. If you don't know me, I'm Luca. I'm the founder of Qwairy, Qwairy.co. We are a generative engine optimization tool. We help brands to rank on a generative engine by giving them a monitoring tool and also a full strategy that is generated directly on our tool. If you want to test Qwairy, we have free plan with 100 credits. Just go and try it. Just before we start, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what is a GEO audit. So a GEO audit, a generative engine optimization audit, is a complete audit of the presence of a brand in LLMs. LLMs can be ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI Overview, Cloud, potentially. And the goal of a GEO audit is to answer the following questions. Which queries are typed by your client, your potential prospect on LLMs? Is your brand mentioned? What are the sources that are used by LLM? What are the competitors that appears? Sometimes the competitors are not the same than on Google. Which content you need to create and which content you need to optimize? And which backlinks you need to get? What are the technical optimizations that you should do? Robots.txt, LLMs.txt, even though we don't really know if it's used or not at the moment by AI. All of this is what should be present in a GEO audit. And I will give you now the methodology. I will share my screen. We will have 5 steps and you will have all the details of what you should have. And at the end of the video, I'll put a template in the comment. You simply have to copy this template. It's connected to a Qwairy, my tool. So as an agency, the first step of a GEO audit is to identify the relevant queries that are typed by your clients, or at least the client of your clients, on LLM. What is complicated is that we don't have the same data that we have. Like, for example, we don't have search volume on LLM. Maybe one day we will have, but most of the searches are very long tail, it's very precise. People tend to write more when they write a prompt on ChatGPT or on any LLM. So basically, there are a couple techniques that I will show you. And the first one is going to Google Search Console and using what is called regex. And here I will paste this regex. This regex simply means that Google Search Console will show only keywords that are longer than 3 words, basically. And actually, I'll go for 5 words to have something really long tails. And here, it's a blog about beer. It's recommending me some queries that were typed on Google, but they're very long tail. So there is a fair chance that these queries are typed on LLM too. I cannot say I'm 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that if someone has typed one day something on Google, they will type it on an LLM because it's just more practical. And actually, this is something we offer on Qwairy. I will show you basically what you have is a Google Search Console integration. And you connect to Google Search Console. And here, basically, you can see all long tail keywords that were searched on your Google Search Console. And then you can monitor to see basically if you are ranking for that, not only on Google, but also on LLMs like ChatGPT or any other LLM. The other thing that you can do on Qwairy is using the prompt tracking. So basically you can add prompt, you select a subject. In this case, I will select AI brand monitoring, and I will select bottom funnel questions that are very narrow from the buying intention. And basically here, Qwairy will recommend different keywords, different prompts that are potentially typed on LLM. What we do here is that we have a personal algorithm where we will check some potential keywords, potential prompts that can be typed on LLM. So you should really use Qwairy for this, and then you can basically go to your clients, and what you have on Qwairy is an overview, and basically here you can see by topic how on different topic your brand is ranking. For example, for Qwairy, we have a lot of work to do here, and now we are doing the work at the moment, so I will share a video very soon on this topic. For example, if I go AI brand monitoring, well, I see that embed social is the most recommended brand around this topic. AI search visibility, SEMrush is actually the most recommended keyword on this topic. So let's jump to step 2, which is measure the visibility of your brand, and I will continue. The second step of a GEO audit is to analyze the brand presence. Is the brand mentioned? What you have to understand on LLMs is that you have two ways of being present. It's not the 10 blue links anymore. You have two ways of being present. The first way is being present as a brand. Like, for example, if I say, what is the best drill? Bosch is the best drill. Well, Bosch is a drill brand, if you don't know it. So basically, that's how you are present as a brand. But you can also be present as a source. This is the little link that an LLM will add directly. So to analyze the brand presence, what I do is doing it with Qwairy because it's just more faster. So if you don't know Qwairy, this is my tool. So basically what we give you here is a brand mention visibility. So over the prompt that we are tracking, I will tell you we have 27% of brand mention visibility. So your brand is mentioned in 27% of the answer. In this case, I'm analyzing Volkswagen, which is a brand manufacturer, and 27% is very low. And actually what's interesting is that on Qwairy, we divide the prompts by topic. So for example, here I go affordable electric car, and I can see that Volkswagen is not among the top 5. This is the sources that were used by LLM, but I will talk about this a little later. And then what you can see here is also the difference between the different providers. For example, on AI overview, the brand Volkswagen is quoted in 30% of the case, 32 actually. In GPT, it's only quoted in 24% of the case. So this is basically the different things that we have. And actually you can go a bit further if you want, going here on competitor mention. So for example, you can look at OpenAI and you can see what is the most quoted brand on affordable electric vehicles. And in this case, we see that Volkswagen comes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 position only. So this is really the second step of an audit that you should share with your client, is really showing him where he is standing at the moment. In this case, you can also analyze the competitors. So in this case, you can see that this is step 3 of the audit. You can see that Hyundai is the most present brand in affordable electric vehicles. What you can say, for example, is going to the answers and saying to your client, look, Hyundai is quoted in this question, but you are not quoted. So for example, what are the upcoming electric vehicles to look out for the next years? Here you can tell him, well, Hyundai is quoted, actually Volkswagen is quoted in this case. What you can use here is this little filter, needs your brand as a competitor, and you can show your client all the questions where your client is not mentioned. So in this case, for example, you have the question, what are the most popular features in the best compact car 2025? Here brands like Honda, Toyota, Subaru are quoted, and actually you are not quoted. And you can also see the sources, and this is the step 4 of the audit that I will share with you. Next step of a GEO audit is to analyze the sources that were used by the LLMs. This is very important because the sources is where you can have the most impact for your client. Basically, you can tell your client, look, we are not present in this source. We should go for a backlink strategy. We should go for REST relationship to be present on these sources. So in the case of Volkswagen, for example, on Qwairy, you can see citation source here. And we see, for example, that we have this website, kbb.com. It's talking about the 11 best electric SUV. It was used by ChatGPT and Perplexity. And well, we can check if Volkswagen was present in there or not. Same thing, we have YouTube here. So for example, I can launch this video and see if it's coming. If I'm mentioned in there, I'll pause it, otherwise it's not really very nice. I'll go to transcript and search for Volkswagen, and you see, so here I have the transcript of the video and Volkswagen is never quoted in there. So basically, that's what you should do, really analyzing the sources. You can also have an overview of the sources on Qwairy here with the top sources impact. You can filter by topic, and you can filter by DLLM, like OpenAI. What's the most website that were used by OpenAI? OpenAI search, of course, and Perplexity. You can do the same thing. And actually, we even offer another feature, which is backlink opportunities. And in here, basically what we say is that you have different backlinks in there. For example, you have Qwairy. This website was used in all these prompts. All this prompt mentions this brand, and Volkswagen is not mentioned in all of these prompts. So what you can do is run an analysis that I did before, and you can see if your brand is mentioned or not. So we say in this case, your brand is not mentioned on Qwairy. You should work on it, and you should improve, contact the author to discuss potential collaboration. So this is really the part about analyzing the sources. And now I'm going to share with you the different recommendations that should come at the end of a GEO audit. The step of a GEO audit should be the recommendation. I always advise my client not to give an audit without any recommendation. And in terms of GEO, there are two recommendations that I will tell you. The first recommendation is about content strategy, optimizing content or creating content. And the second optimization is about backlinks, optimizing backlinks and getting the right backlinks. In this case, I will take the example of tally.so. Tally.so is a free form builder. Why this example? Because I did a complete audit, so you should really have a look at this audit. I'll put the link in the comment. So the first thing in this case is I will look at citation source. And there's something that I see here is that the content that is used by LLM is content about best online form builder software. So if Tally was my client as an SEO agency, I will recommend them to create this kind of content, because then they can not only be quoted by others, but they can become the source. And this is very strong. And actually, in the case of Tally, this is what they do. They have this article, Best Free Online Form Builders, that is very strong. And you see here, tally.so is one of the most mentioned websites by LLMs. And basically, obviously, in this article, they recommend themselves first. So when LLM take this article, what do they see? They see that Tally is one of the most recommended brands, and obviously, they recommend Tally. So this is a very strong strategy to look at the different articles that were created and that are used by LLM and to create the same article. Same thing in terms of content strategy. You can look at the prompt and use those prompts to create content. So for example, here, the prompt that was recommended by Qwairy is what are the user reviews about Google Form alternatives. So here, this is a content that you could create on your website. And if you create it, there's a fair chance that LLM will use it afterwards. And actually, one of the brands that uses Qwairy is called Pizzae. It's a French SaaS software as a service, and they doubled their visibility on ChatGPT thanks to this technique. Basically, they took all the prompts that were recommended in queries, and they just created content about this. Very good content. So it's how they ranked on LLM. So this is creating new content. But sometimes there's also another thing, another recommendation that you can do for your client is telling them that they should optimize content. And for this, a good content for LLM, I have a method that I call the SAFE method, SAFE, SAFE. Basically, I did a video special on that. I will put it in the comment. But basically, what you have to do, I will show you because Tally they do it very well, is that you should have content that is easy to read for LLMs. So for example, here, put a resume like that on your content. It's a very good strategy because then LLM don't have to scroll all your content. They have all the answers in there, and they love this because it's easier to digest and it's easier for them to do. Same thing, make all your content very readable. In this case, you have an H3, and you have a little content. H3, little content. This is very easy to use for LLM, and this is very strong to rank better on LLM and to make the content of your client more usable by LLM. So look at the video for the SAFE method and just apply it to all of your clients. And then finally, the last thing that you should do is a recommendation on backlink. For this, you can simply look at backlink opportunities on Qwairy, and here you can simply recommend we have to be present on this website. We have to be present on this website. We have to be present on this website. You have the complete list, and you can just go outreach and start the backlink strategy. This is it to do a GEO audit for your client. Have a look at the other video, subscribe to the channel. Every week we do a new video on how to optimize for generative engine optimization. Talk soon. Ciao, ciao.